3 words. That is all it took. No press conference, no big speech, no carefully worded statement drafted by a PR team. Just 3 plain words typed into a comment box on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday, and within minutes, an entire fan base was losing its mind over it. If you were not online when it happened, you probably woke up to the screenshots already circulating through every Fever group chat and fan page you follow. And if you were online, you already know exactly why this hit the way it did. But here is the thing worth slowing down on. This was not some staged viral moment. Nobody coordinated it. Nobody timed it for maximum engagement. What you saw was as real and unscripted as it gets, and that is precisely why it spread so fast and hit so hard. The comment came from Caitlin Clark. It was directed at Sophie Cunningham, and before the day was over, those 3 words had become the most talked about thing in women's basketball. Not because of a game, not because of a stat line, but because of what they quietly confirmed about something fans had been watching build for over a year. So before we get to what Clark actually wrote, it is worth understanding why this friendship even exists the way it does. Because that context is the reason a simple comment turned into a genuine moment. When Sophie Cunningham was traded to the Indiana Fever from the Phoenix Mercury, the storyline the league handed her was not an easy one. She was stepping into a locker room that already had the most talked-about player in women's basketball sitting right at the center of it. Caitlin Clark's presence on any roster changes the energy of that roster, the media attention, the expectations, and the pressure. Walking into that environment as a new teammate is one thing. Figuring out how to actually connect with the person at the middle of all of it is something else entirely. Chemistry between teammates is not guaranteed. It does not arrive automatically because 2 players share a practice court or a flight schedule. Most of the time, real bonds between athletes build slowly, across dozens of quiet moments that the public never sees. A conversation after a bad practice, a joke that lands right in the locker room, gradually learning how another person operates under pressure. The foundation of any strong teammate relationship is mostly invisible. What fans noticed with Clark and Cunningham, though, was that the foundation did not stay invisible for very long. From early in Cunningham's time with the Fever, she showed up for Clark in ways that were impossible to miss. On the court, she was physical, vocal, and protective. When things got heated, she was not the kind of teammate who looked the other way. She stepped into those moments, stood beside Clark when other players might have stepped back, and made it clear through her actions alone that she was not just sharing a roster with the team's biggest name. She was genuinely invested in making sure Clark was looked after. Fans picked up on that energy fast. The nickname Ride or Die started circulating in comment sections without anyone officially handing it out. It fit, because that is exactly what Cunningham's presence on the court communicated. She was not trying to carve out her own spotlight alongside Clark's. She was just genuinely, consistently there. And for a fan base that watches this team closely enough to notice those things, that kind of loyalty stands out more than almost anything else. Here is where the friendship moved beyond what fans could observe from the outside and into something more personal. During the 2025 season, both Clark and Cunningham dealt with significant injuries that pulled them off the court for stretches of time neither of them wanted. A groin injury slowed Cunningham down. Clark had her own setbacks forcing her to the sideline. Neither of them was where they wanted to be, doing what they had worked their entire lives to do, and both of them were experiencing that frustration at roughly the same time, often sitting near each other while the game went on without them. There is a specific kind of bond that forms when 2 people are going through the same difficult thing at the same time. It does not require long conversations or dramatic declarations. It builds in small, shared moments. The glance across the bench that says everything without a single word. The effort to keep each other's energy up during stretches that test patience in ways that are hard to explain to anyone who has not sat through an injury-shortened season. Watching a game you love from the sideline, not knowing exactly when you will be fully back in it, changes a person, and having someone else nearby who understands that experience without needing it explained creates a connection that is hard to replicate any other way. By the time both players were fully healthy and heading into a new season together, fans who had been paying attention already knew something important. This was not a surface-level teammate relationship. It was something built under pressure. During moments the cameras do not always capture cleanly, and it had been growing steadily for months before most people stopped to pay close attention to it. That is the context that matters, because a comment that might have seemed small without it suddenly carries the entire weight of everything that came before it. Sophie Cunningham was not trying to break the internet. The post she put up that Tuesday was exactly the kind of content most professional athletes share on a regular basis. A casual Instagram carousel pulling together a few photos and short clips from recent weeks. Some game day shots, a couple of candid moments away from the court, and 2 videos that included fellow Fever guard Lexi Hull. The kind of lighthearted, easy content that says, "Here is a small window into my season," without making a big deal out of the window itself. The caption did not tease anything. There was no build-up, no hype attached to it, no attempt to make the post feel larger than it was. Cunningham posted it the way most people post personal content, because she felt like sharing a few good moments, not because she was engineering a viral opportunity. That ordinary quality is actually a big part of what made everything that followed feel so real. For a while, the post did exactly what most posts do. People liked it, left a few friendly comments, and the engagement settled into a normal rhythm. Nothing about it suggested that it was about to become the most screenshotted thing in the Fever fan community that week. There was no signal, no warning, no moment where you could watch it happen and think, here it comes. And then Caitlin Clark showed up in the comments. Clark did not have to respond. Nothing about Cunningham's post required acknowledgement from a teammate, especially not from the player with the largest public platform on the roster. A double tap and a scroll would have been the easy path. It would have been invisible, effortless, and completely fine. But instead of liking the post and moving on, Clark paused long enough to type something out, attach her name to it publicly, and leave it there for anyone scrolling by to see. That small decision, choosing a comment over a like, is the reason this moment existed at all. Clark wrote, "Love you, Soph." That is the whole comment. No emoji stack on top of it, no paragraph trailing underneath, nothing dramatic or rehearsed. 3 words, a period, and a name. The kind of thing you type in approximately 4 seconds when you see something from someone you genuinely care about and you want them to know it without turning it into a production. And that is exactly what makes it land so hard. When a public figure wants a moment to be noticed, the language tends to give it away. Lengthy captions, carefully chosen hashtags, multiple sentences about how grateful they are, how special someone is, how much a relationship means. All of that can absolutely be sincere, but it can also read as constructed, something built for the audience rather than for the person it is directed at. There is almost no way to fake that kind of brevity. 3 words leave no room for curation. Nothing to edit, nothing to strategize around, nothing that runs past a publicist before hitting post. What fans saw was the most unfiltered version of a reaction that exists. There's also something worth noticing about how unguarded the moment was. Clark was not sitting in front of a microphone being asked about her relationship with a teammate. She was not in a press conference setting, choosing her words with the awareness that everything she says will end up in a headline. She was scrolling, saw something that made her feel something, and said exactly what she felt. The comment was never meant to be a headline. It became one anyway, because genuine moments are rare enough that people stop when they see one. A short phrase also travels differently than a long one. It fits cleanly into a screenshot, a reply, a repost. It becomes its own shorthand. Within hours, fans were repeating those 3 words in other comment sections, using them as shorthand for the entire moment without having to explain the backstory. That kind of staying power almost never belongs to a carefully crafted statement. It almost always belongs to the simplest, most honest thing someone says when they are not thinking about being watched. There is a quiet confidence in keeping a message that short, too. Clark did not feel the need to explain why she loves her teammate, or to list reasons, or to turn the moment into a longer tribute. She trusted that 3 honest words would carry the whole thing, and she was right. The comment section under Cunningham's post did not take long to catch fire. Fans who had been quietly tracking this friendship for over a year suddenly had a clear, specific moment to point at, and they pointed at it with everything they had. The replies filled up fast, warmth, hearts, the kind of enthusiasm that only surfaces when a fan base feels like it is witnessing something unscripted rather than something produced for them. One fan described it as sweet to finally see both of them healthy and back on the court together. Another said they were grateful Cunningham had someone like Clark in her corner. A different comment called Cunningham a ride or die since day one, which echoed almost word for word what fans had been saying in their own group chats for months. Someone else acknowledged how visibly and consistently Cunningham had stuck up for Clark throughout the year, a nod to all the on-court moments that came before this one. The comments kept stacking, each one building on the last, until what started as a reaction to a 3-word comment had become its own small community event happening in real time under a casual Instagram post. And then the screenshots started moving. Fan pages picked them up. Group chats circulated them. People who had not even seen the original post were getting context sent directly to them by friends who knew they would want to see it. Here is why that kind of spread happens. Authenticity travels. People can sense a performative gesture almost immediately, even if they cannot always articulate why it feels off. And they can sense a genuine one just as quickly. A short, unscripted comment from a teammate who did not need to say anything registers completely differently in the gut than a prepared statement from a team's social media account. Fans know the difference without needing it explained to them, and when they see the real thing, they share it because they want other people to feel what they felt when they first came across it. That is the engine behind moments like this one. Not the algorithm, not a viral strategy, not timing. Just something real, passed from one person to another because it made them feel something worth passing along. The Indiana Fever did not start the 2025 season the way fans were hopping. The scoreboard through the early weeks of the year told a story the fan base was not thrilled to be reading, and that kind of slow start puts pressure on every part of a team's public image. When the wins are not coming fast, people look for other reasons to stay emotionally invested. They look for signs that the people on the court actually care, both about the game and about each other. What makes a tough stretch of games easier to sit through as a fan is exactly what the Clark and Cunningham friendship has been providing throughout this season. A locker room where the players genuinely enjoy each other's company handles adversity differently than one that simply shares a practice schedule. When the losses stack up, teams built on real chemistry tend to hold together in ways that roster-only groups do not. Fans can feel that difference even from the outside, and it is one of the main reasons a moment this small carries weight far beyond what its content alone would suggest. The comment was not about basketball at all. It was not about wins or losses, standings or statistics, draft positions or trade rumors. It was about two people who have spent over a year building something real in the middle of a very public environment and choosing to let that realness be visible without making a performance out of it. During a difficult stretch of a season, that kind of moment does not just make fans feel good. It gives them a reason to show up that is entirely separate from whether the team is winning. There is a real distinction between fans who follow a team because it is winning and fans who follow a team because they are genuinely invested in the people wearing the jersey. A moment like this one is aimed directly at the second group, not on purpose, not as a strategy, but because that is simply what it is. And the second group, the fans who care about the people beyond the stats, are the ones who fill arenas during losing stretches, who stick around through injuries, and who make a franchise feel like something beyond a business. The Fever have been building that kind of fan loyalty steadily, and moments like this one, small, genuine, completely unplanned, are a big part of the reason W. Pull back from the comment, from the fan reaction, from the screenshots and the group chats, and the bigger picture is actually pretty simple. Real friendships between teammates are not built in a single Instagram comment. They are not built in a single game or a single season. They are built across hundreds of small moments that nobody schedules and nobody announces. The choice to stand beside someone when things get heated. The patience to sit on a sideline together during an injury stretch without letting the frustration pull the relationship apart. The willingness to say something kind in public without needing a particular reason to say it. Clark's comment was not the beginning of any of that. It was just the latest visible piece of something that has been growing quietly since Cunningham first joined this team. The fans who reacted the way they did were not surprised by the warmth behind those 3 words. They were just glad to see it confirmed in a way they could point to and share. That kind of relationship, built slowly, maintained consistently, visible without being performed, is rarer in professional sports than most people realize. The business of the game pulls hard against it. Trades, contracts, roster decisions, and the constant pressure to produce can all wear on even the strongest connections between teammates. What Clark and Cunningham have built has survived all of that so far, through injury and difficulty, and a challenging start to a new season, and it shows no signs of fading. In professional sports, genuine friendship is harder to find than talent, and a fan base can always tell the difference. The ones that last are the ones that look exactly like what fans saw in that comment section on an otherwise ordinary Tuesday. Not a headline, not a campaign, not a moment engineered for engagement. Just 2 people who actually like each other, letting that be visible without making a big thing out of it. And sometimes, 3 words are enough to remind an entire fan base why they fell in love